Hello you wonderful people, and welcome to Unravelled, where we take gorgeous geekery and turn it into questionable crafts. Today we're crocheting a Psyduck, and not just any old Psyduck, we're making a life-sized one. That encyclopedia of Pokemon knowledge, the Bulbapedia, says that Psyduck is 2 foot 7 inches tall, or 80 centimeters. Starting out with a terrible sketch and working out the proportions, I guessed I'd need 23 balls of yellow yarn and 2 balls of cream. But wait, what if that isn't enough? Yeah, my brain really did that to me. So I dusted off my high school maths and broke Psyduck down into simple shapes, worked out how big those shapes would be, calculated the surface area of those shapes, multiplied that, and I got to 19 yellow and 2 cream. But that didn't matter, because the most I could get in 2 weeks was 17 yellow. But I did manage to get 4 cream just in case. Both the yellow and the cream say that they're super chunky on the band, but the cream's 4 times the thickness. Now we've got the easy bit out of the way, let's get quacking. This is Pierre, an 8mm hook. Steve's taking a little vacation time. Starting with Psyduck's legs, he's got a little squishy bit to the bottom of his body, which I guess his legs are covered by. Who knows, but a trusty old magic ring starts off this descent into madness, because crocheting at this size would send anyone quackers. I double crocheted 6 into the magic ring and increased 6 times on every round until it looked roughly big enough. Pierre's never crocheted before, so he's struggling a little bit, but we'll get there. I'm making sure to offset the increased rounds as well, so that we don't get a hexagon, which we're sort of getting anyway. I've been reliably informed the ducks do indeed have 2 legs, so I made another one to keep the first company. And for some reason you can still see where I increased. Oh well. Legs stick together, and in this case that means sewing. And me, being the hyper-organised super serious person I am, forgot to buy bigger-eyed sewing needles for the chunkier yarn. So I had to make do with the biggest needle I could find, and it just about fits. After sewing the legs together, I continue to crochet around the legs to make a start on the body, increasing as I go. Whilst I was doing the mental gymnastics earlier, I figured Psyduck would probably be around 60 centimeters at his widest, so when I finally remembered I was supposed to be crocheting to a specific scale, I found my old tape measure from a Christmas cracker last year and made sure I stopped increasing when it hit that size. Oh look, I've got my own yellow brick road. Now for the chunky body. I double crocheted straight for a while, and when I say a while, I mean a while. The body on its own took me a week to make, and this has 150 odd stitches to it as well, and I was not counting that every round. For a start, that's higher than I can count. So I finally decided to stop being so stubborn and use a stitch marker. We're making progress. Oof, my arms are aching already. Who said crochet was a sedentary hobby? I'd like a word. After the straight rounds I decreased a little bit, but now it's time to stuff this turkey. I mean duck. Why? I had originally bought 7 bags of forbidden candy floss. Whoo, boy did I underestimate how much Psyduck would need. Those 7 disappeared quickly into Psyduck's ever-growing bulk, and he was only going to get bigger. You know when you look at a number and you think, yeah, it's doable, it's not that big, surely it's not that big. It'll be fine. You know, maybe. Well, this is how big the body is. I've decided to reclassify the cream as Super Chunk, and that's what Psyduck's feet are made from. Sounds like a clothing brand. Pierre has mysteriously disappeared after all the work I put him through on his first day. So this is Bob, his 12mm temporary replacement. The duck feet are made by crocheting a triangle in the round by first crocheting a circle and then chaining 3 stitches at 3 points to make kinda corners, I guess? I think I just made more holes, to be honest. I then made the toes by picking up 3 stitches for each toe along one side and crocheting in decreasing rows for 3 rows until more triangles formed. Now we have some suitably sized dinosaur feet. I also made a second foot exactly the same, except one slightly larger because I crocheted it with my fingers before conceding and recruiting Bob. I still haven't seen Pierre, but he's been busy and crocheted some fingers before I'd even got round to making the arms. All I could see from the pictures is that Psyduck has 3 fingers on each hand, so there's 6 fingers in total. Ah, there you are, Pierre. Come on, we've got some arms to make. Psyduck is a flightless bird having arms instead of wings, but that never stopped him from getting in a flap. The arms begin life much like a tuna's ends, with a ring. I increased from the magic ring until the arms were around 20 centimeters wide, but I think I forgot to measure them because they ended up wider. Both arms also took 1 and a bit bags of forbidden candy floss each, and will need to see a dentist after all this bloody sugar. When decreasing, I remembered that Psyduck's fingers aren't stuck directly to his arms, his hands are. So I crocheted straight for a little bit to get the hands in there before closing her up. There we are, a lovely duck arm. For some magical reason that has something to do with tension, one of the arms turned out a little bit smaller than the other one, but oh well. Nothing in life is perfectly symmetrical anyway, I know I'm definitely not. It's not like me to leave the head until so late in the game, but that's what we're doing now. It's usually the first thing I do so I can work everything else to the same scale, but I already know how big everything's going to be anyway, sort of, this time. I started the head like the inventor of donuts with a ring, yet another magic ring.
Oh my god, did you say marry me? Of course I'll marry you. Oh, it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much.
Wait a sec, you see, it's not that kind of ring, it's a magic ring, and I kind of need it back, so can I just, No,
I thought you wanted to marry me. Fine, take your stupid ring.
I never said that. Wait, where are you going? Where are you going? Come back. So Psyduck's head is around 40 centimeters wide, but it didn't look quite right, so I continued to increase until it was closer to 60 centimeters in width to be more in proportion with the body. After the increase rounds, we then work straight, but not as many as if we were doing a sphere, to make Psyduck slightly squashed noggin. Then we decreased until the head opening was about the same width as the body, because I was not wasting more yarn closing up the head when I didn't have to. We're getting there, just need a few more decrease rounds to make this a bit smaller. Oh yes, by the way, in the event of a giant duck attack, the bread is located here, here and here. Once the head is done, we can celebrate because we're done with the big stuff. Yes, finally. But after that, it's time to make like a chef and stuff. After the 3rd trip to the craft store in 2 weeks, I started to get funny looks. I bought 7 more bags of forbidden candy floss, prayed that it would be enough, and used 6 to stuff the head. How many bags are we up to now? Evie for scale. Now, believe it or not, this will be a beak. The plan is to crochet a bag and shape it with sewing into a beak, instead of specifically shaping it to be a beak. You might say, surely not, it looks nothing like a beak. Well, what if I did this? Whoop! Is it looking more like a beak yet? Well, how about now? Unfortunately, I put too much into this bill and ended up paying for it, so I had to unravel some of it because it could not hold its own weight. That shouldn't make that much of a difference, should it? Right? Pierre's been hard at work again crocheting me a tail. The tail is a simple cone shape, it's not going to stick out from behind Psyduck like in the pictures, which I think is just artistic license anyway, and his tail's not actually that long. It's around 20 centimeters in diameter. Next up are the eyes. I'd best get Steve back from his nice long vacation. I hope he's enjoyed his time off at least. Back to using regular double knit weight yarn, we're actually doing something slightly different with Steve and the eyes. We're starting with a chain of 7 stitches because we're making ellipses. Looks like Steve's a bit rusty after his holiday. To be honest, I've been crocheting with chunky yarn for nearly 3 weeks at this point, and I'd forgotten how to use smaller yarn. I was like, did I really used to crochet at this scale? It's so tiny. Crocheting an ellipse is similar to how you would crochet a circle, except you split the increases in half and smoosh in some extra stitches. I also forgot to figure out how big the eyes should be, and I think the tape measure is in that magical dimension no one can find twice, called a safe place. Hiding stealthily in the background this whole time was some black yarn that I'm going to use to crochet one round around the eyes for Psyduck's dark circles. And yet they still turned out circular. I don't know what happened. Now we have two creepy looking empty eyes that really wouldn't look out of place in a house of wax. I really have no time to redo them. But I finally finished all of the crochet. Finally. The last thing I need to do is a monumental task, and that is sewing everything together. I want to sew the arms on roughly around here. Oh yes, I'd already started by sewing the fingers on. That was the easiest bit. And in the end they just ended up looking like very unripe aubergines. It took me 2 or 3 hours to sew on the beak using a much thinner yarn, and it's still not quite right. The yarn was just too chunky to be easily manipulated. Right, so next on the list I need to sew on the eyes, the hair, the feet, the arms, and the head to the body. Oh wait, there's a tail in there too. Well, this has been an experience and a half. I would love to do more of these sized projects, but I don't think I have enough time. Maybe in the future, way in the future, if this was my job and I had all the time in the world. Although I will make an exception if enough of you lovely people make enough lovely noise in the lovely comment section and like this video and stuff like that, that really helps the channel out. Thanks, yes, okay. Right, that's enough from me. As always, thank you so much for watching, whether you're a girl, a guy, non-binary, hi, or just passing by. I'm happy you're here, and I hope to see you next time for more Unravelled chaos. Right. Where the f am I going to put this now?